What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Solemn Circus live video. On the left side here, we have Yubel going up against Brand and Despia. This is actually going to be a different type of video. This was going to be part of a bigger video where I was going to take the list that got second place. I believe it was a YCS or a regionals or like a European opening. I took this exact list to locals, and I ended up doing pretty decent with it. I want to be kind of show you guys what I liked about the list and what I would change, but we're going to be diving on in pretty smoothly. We kind of stopped that because the list did play two talents. And then a lot of the duels just became kind of irrelevant. The ban list got dropped. So we are showing this match here off in the regular duels. Here we're going to go for the Allure of Darkness, banishing, drawing 2 cards for the Allure. And banishing the Aluber. Then we go for a fusion deployment for a copy of Cartesia. Or Albaz here, and then we have the Cartesia in the hand, summon herself out. And we do summon up Granganol there. They do imperm that. We set 2 cards here and just pass turn. A pretty slow turn there. I do like the Allure. I don't think the Allure is really good this format because Droll, obviously in the start of every format, we see Droll kind of floating around. So it is kind of a weak. Also, like with Yubel, they did get Shavara to 2, but I would not play Shavara at 2 in Yubel. It doesn't really do anything for them. I guess they can play like heavier traps like Yama, but at the same time, like it doesn't really do anything. It really helps Pure Unchained more than anything else because now you can go Chain Link 1. You can like go for obviously the tour guide. You can go Chain Link 1, the Rhino, dump Shavara, Chain Link 2, Yama, add a second Shavara. Before you wouldn't be able to do that because you wouldn't be able to trigger the Shavara in the graveyard, so it definitely felt kind of rough, but we're going to be seeing the Fiends with combo being made there, going for the Lurie off the track, and then we go for a Quem in this case. We tag out the Granganol for that Quem. Quem can then dump additional card, bumping the High Spirits, so we can add a back during the end phase of this turn. Not really much that we want to do here. Now we're going to link away for the Requiem, and this can now trigger the Quem as well, which is important because they're going to be able to go up into either a Lacrima or an Engraver, and like at this point we can just take. Now I wouldn't really take here the Lacrima or the whatever the engraver they make. We want to actually take their copy of like the sequence that we end up making. We can summon out here the Cartesia, which means we can kind of fuse at any point of time. Now I believe we have fusion duplication here, which can multiply the copy of the fusion deployment. Summon out the Albaz from the deck, but we summon out Cartesia in this case. And they do shuffle back to summon out the engraver. At this point, we're like, okay, we have to kind of get rid of this. They do equip the engraver now to, or the Requiem to the engraver, then activate the effect, and they do target. At this point, we just chain it. Doesn't really make any difference to us. We can just, go up, avoid that there. Now they can't make a princess. They're going to be forced to kind of make a sequence or a copy of Chaos Angel. Then we go for the Granganol once again. Then you're going to see we do lose that Quem, which we only are playing one of, which is very important. Another reason I don't like this, I always like the second Quem. We're playing double Granganol because we are playing the Idol Lock, but that means we want to play second Quem as well. But we do dump now the Albion. Now we have other stuff we can tag into with the Granganol if we want to. We have extra type, we have Quiritus as well as the Priscini, which is very nice. But they go make this sequence here, and at this point we do chain that fusion duplication, go up into the Albaz, summoning yourself from the deck, and then we're going to activate the effect discarding the talents in the hand. This is going to be just a potential blank card, does not really make a difference. Then we make the Mirror Jade. They do lose their access to the Fiends with cards now, but they still have the ability to kind of go up next turn with the Lacrima being able to bring back out. Now the problem with Mirror Jade is that Mirror Jade can actually get rid of it quite easily during the draw phase, so they don't have a chance to activate those effects, but they're now going to lean into their actual part of the engine, which is going to be terraforming into the copy of the Yubel field spell. Then we're going to also know Sincerity Lotus and Yubel combo on this shit. So now we see Mirror Jade kind of being forced to, activate its effects, getting rid of that Sincerity Lotus kind of immediately. We do send the Rinrum so that if we do have to go for Albaz's effect later, we're going to be able to do that. They do chain the Squirmer here, and they're able to still banish that Sincerity Lotus, and this is going to not do too much for them. Alone, Squirmer does absolutely nothing. They have the trap in the hand, which is a brick, and I think they have a spirit, so they could return them if they wanted to make a phantom. But having to use a phantom from the hand is just so rough. As well as, I personally, I had Spirit of Yubel in the hand. I probably would have just passed. When we get declare an attack, they're going to summon itself out, then it's going to activate the fight, allowing them to search for... I honestly, I don't think that'd be really that good. So I would probably just pass turn myself. But here we're going to see the end phase effects kind of resolve. We're going to add back Cartesia, add back High Spirits, and add the Brand Fusion off of the Albion here. And yeah, we're pretty much just chilling. I will mention to you guys, like, this is going to be, like, we are playing 2 talents currently in the deck, so, like, if you guys don't like that, you guys definitely can skip on the video. It doesn't really change anything, you know, I don't activate 2 talents at all. We pitched one off Albaz, so, like, that just is a blank card there. I don't think we activate talents at all in this game either, so kind of important to note. We go for Brand Infusion, going for Albaz as well as the Tragedy, going now for Lubellion. Lubellion kind of takes effects as well as Tragedy here. And we just cared for cost, just getting another High Spirits. So going to be adding that back, you know, during the end of the turn. Always quite nice having those free discards that keep coming back. When your deck wants to discard so much, it just feels so free. And yeah, we're kind of just going off, playing around the Phantom, making sure that it cannot negate some of the important cards there. We had to search for ad libitum. I was honestly thinking they were going to negate this. But at this point, they didn't think we were playing ad lib. They had no idea what deck we were on. I guess they knew what deck we're on, but they didn't know what, you know, type of deck. And like I've never really been a fan of ad libitum, you know, for the longest time, especially with the idol lock in your deck, or at the time the puppet lock. I felt like it was too many bricks. But I do like it quite a bit when we're only playing the 1 Mirror Jade, which we are only playing now. This is his 1-in-1 copy of the exact list. So like Drolls are in the main, all this stuff, you know, and it is cool. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the deck. It's just not how I would play the deck personally. So now we are forced to make a Circus to play to kind of get that Phantom. They do chain that Phantom here, and then that's going to be fine. You know, we don't really care at all. They can destroy the Spirit. Spirit can then summon out the regular Yubel, but we don't really care, to be honest. We're going to now go for the Granganol. That's going to allow us to summon out the Priskinian, most likely here. This is a pretty crazy card. Like, if you guys don't never read Priskinian, I definitely recommend to. Like, this card's absolutely nuts. You can target a Fusion Synchro link in their opponent's graveyard, banish it, or plus summon it out, which is just like super busted when you're playing against fiends with stuff. You know, get rid of like some of their Desirees or whatever. And we do go for a thrust now into a talents, and we do activate the talents to take. Then this is important that we do talents to take here. So we do activate talents. Unfortunately, we did discard talents earlier, and that's gonna be like they just scoop it up here. Like the earlier the talents, which could have been something different completely, it's just a discard fodder. But having the talents now, to be able to take the card, so we don't have to like kind of think over anything or just, you know, banish it off Mirror Jade in their follow up turn, is going to be pretty huge. So yeah, that is the only difference between this and the ban list, is that there was 1 talent in our deck, extra that we could not have played currently. This was recorded like pre-ban list. Obviously, it was like the weekend that the ban list did drop, and I was like trying to like. I took the exact Darwin deck to locals, and I was like, okay, I want to see if I can take this deck and how I can do with the deck, and explain why I like the cards, like prior, what I thought the deck would be able to do, and then what I felt the deck could do, you know, playing Brandon myself, and like explain the differences. Like a lot of the time, like learning from another person's deck, like just give you so much insight. And like honestly, I was surprised. Like I didn't think I liked Allure. I was not a fan of Allure for the longest time. And I enjoyed Allure. Like Allure felt really nice. I don't really agree with like the ratios of like having only 1 McCurry or 1 Tragedy still in 50 with the Allures, but I didn't dislike it. Like it was really nice. I didn't have to discard my hand anytime. And honestly, it felt really clean. Like I was surprised. I was surprised in myself with how much I was liking it. And Allure is such a crazy card. You know, it just. Like, when you go with Tragedy or McCurry, you just feel so U plus so much. Like, we saw there, I ended up banishing the Luber, but I also had, like, 2 cards in the hand still. Like, so, like, you're replenishing your hand, you're able to banish cards you already, like, have that you don't need. If we had a second Luber, and, like, it just felt so free. There, if we didn't have the other Luber, I probably would have normal summoned searched and got some stuff off like that, but it is just, like, it's unfortunate that you have someone's banish your Luber. We still got to Brand Infusion and still made a sick board during the end phase anyways. Which, like, you know, is pretty cool. Now, obviously, they didn't play very much, had a couple bricks in their hand themselves. But, like, we were still able to do quite a bit, and that's what I really liked about the deck. Like, you don't need to resolve Brand Infusion to kind of win the game, which people just don't really realize these days. But diving into game 2, we're going to be seeing Yubel going to go first. But we do hit them with a Molcharmy Prelia here. Now, he's not playing Fools in this list, so all we get to hit is the Prelia. They do go for an Engraver for a Tract, so we're just going to lean into the Fiendsmith line once again. And it's important to note that this Fiendsmith line is still going to be very good in this deck because it gives them the opportunity to bridge into the Yubel cards with no Yubel cards with the copy of the Aerial Eater, which we were doing in Chimera as well as we were doing in the Memento deck as well, if you guys have not realized. So we're going to now go up into the Lacrima, and then we're going to go for dumping the Engraver. And we can now go up into the sequence. So not looking like they have any of those those I should say Yubel cards here. And we're going to go now up into the Aerial Eater. Aerial Eater can now dump our Samsardi Lotus. And what's really important about this is that they can actually make Muckraker in this deck, because Muckraker is going to be a Fiend, and then, they get Fiend Lock quite a bit, as well as, just having the ability to protect their stuff, which is absolutely huge. So they're going to be discarding, and they do see a Droll in the hand. I don't know if I'd discard Droll. I don't know exactly what their hand was, but that's a really crazy card, especially, like, when they're on their Pirellia. But they also had Ash Blossom, too. And we haven't drawn anything off of the this Pirellia yet, which is kind of crazy. So now we're going to see the Spirit, set the copy of Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain is going to activate the effect, destroying itself, or destroying the Phantom, and then it's going to summon out the Yubel, all also searching for the Squirmer. Now we finally get a first draw off the Squirmer, but look how far it took us to get into that first draw here. They're now going to link away for a Yama. Yama's going to search their deck, and obviously, sometimes it's just really good when they can just normal summon out and they get the effect. I do want to apologize. I have lost my voice. So you're going to see some voice cracks, stuff like that. The obviously there is pretty bad. But we're going to see now Phantom going to be brought back out with a Squirmer. But they have lots of stuff they can destroy. Shavara that was searched, destroying the copy of Spirit. Spirit's going to be able to bring back out the copy of Yama. And then we can link those two away for a raid. But it's just, Yubel can play through Molcharmies really well. Obviously, getting hit with Fua, as well as the other one is obviously going to be hurt. And as long as they do just normal summon out and get the effect, or then they get another effect off the Shavara, we saw we get a draw 2 here, which is pretty nice. One card trading for 2 is never going to be a complaint. But you can tell it's 3, 4, 5 cards being summoned out, which is pretty nice here. We're going to be putting back the Samsardi Lotus, as well as the Phantom in the graveyard, or I should say the Spirit in the graveyard for a Phantom here. And we have a set trap, and then we have a pass turn here, which is actually pretty nice. Which we have Muckraker going to be stored there in the end phase to maintain that copy of Yubel. And yeah, we have a pretty nice board here, Phantom, as well as a Rage. Now we do go for Lightning Storm, calling the back row. They do chain, calling D-Barrier, calling Fusion, which is going to be pretty nuts. We do chain Super Poly to this, discarding a Droll of our own. And this is what I found that I loved. Super Poly is fucking insane. Being able to have this combination of cards, you see this board state right now. We ended up drawing 2 off of Pirellia. We now go Lightning Storm into a D-Barrier, chain a copy of Super Poly, getting rid of their entire monster field, and we just make a Mud Dragon here, which is pretty nuts. Having a negate such on the field, and they just lose their entire back row as well. We just simplify that game state to a massive amount. And also looks crazy too. We now go for Lubellion, letting us search for the Magnemite. And at this point, we now start banishing the cards from the graveyard as well, which is going to be absolutely huge for us. So honestly, Super Poly is so crazy. I love it. I had stopped playing Bread of Plant Dragon's Play for the longest time, but it just feels so crazy now. We go for a Magnemite, and then we normally spin the Luberg, and that gets ashed. And then we do tag out for Lubellion here, and then can get hit with a Veiler. But now they're on no cards as well, which is kind of important. We have Magnemite we're going to resolve during the end phase, letting us search for Lubellion, or I guess I say the Druid Worm here, but we have so much. We can also search for Albion for follow-up if we really want to, which we end up doing here, so not really caring with their graveyard, and just passing turn on this. So we look at the graveyard there. There's not much they can do. They have the Engravers still, which they can kind of go for things, but it's still gonna be kind of hard for them to continue playing. If they have lost their Phantom, a lot of times Yubel now has a big gas moment, and then once you beat the gas, there's not really much left you can do. They go for Requiem, and then Requiem can activate its effects, allowing them to go now for, I believe, the Lacma they put back into the deck, or another Engraver here. But it doesn't really do anything. Now they have enough Light Fiends in the graveyard to go up into a Desiree, but we can just negate it at any time with the Predator Plant Dragospelia. So they have the forces out with the Engraver here, equipping that Requiem, making them want to send that Dragospelia. We do just negate. It makes a difference. I guess I mentioned it tires for cost, but we have to do that there, or else we're going to lose our Dragospelia. And then they just know somebody Veiler, and they can link these 2 away for that copy of the sequence. And this is pretty nice, honestly. It does exactly what they need to do. They just had to have a normal summon Obviously, they lose their hand trap, but they still keep these Yubel on the field, which they what they're kind of trying to do here. But like the thing is they're still going to be in trouble because they have to like keep up that Yubel cost during the end phase there. So you see a Desiree being made, but you know they either have to not equip the sequence or lose, which they're going to lose their Desiree, but like or just let that Yubel die, which is kind of unfortunate. Especially because we already banished that Yama, so like we already lost. They already lost their graveyard, kind of stuff. Like we just had the perfect hand to kind of stop this here. We'll take a second to read the Draco Stapelia here, and we do go like we could just link away into an SP and then banish, which I personally would do, and then we can just equip the sequence during the end phase, or I guess during right afterward. I should say. I keep thinking we just have a main phase, but instead they just go up into the sequence, and then they just go Desiree negates the Predaplant Display as well as Yubel here, and then we're going to go up into a Typhon, and we're going to be seeing Typhon going to be beating over the Draco Stapelia, and then just passing turn on this. So we still have the Yubel on the field because it was negated to the end of the turn, but like this is interesting. I don't really know. Like it's obviously they're in a losing position, so they kind of have to like be forced to make a Typhon. Now looking back, Typhon wasn't even legal. You know, we only summoned once, which was Draco Stapelia. But like this was like in their mind the best way to kind of go for this, but we don't really care at this point. You know, I honestly think that Desert would probably be a little bit more brutal. Now they would like go into an SP banish the Aluber, but like we're still doing pretty nice. Like we would just play through it here. So we go for, you know, an Albaz. We place the Lost under Brandon, under the Lubellion here, and then we go up into a Mirror Jade. And like at this point, we're gonna be able to search, and like the field's gonna be just gone here. If you guys just do not know. So we do see essentially Brandon up 2-0ing at this point. You know, we're going to be Mirror Jade sitting at the graveyard, and then we get summon out the copy of Cartesia. We have definitely enough for game. We're going to be able to go up into the Grand Giganol, and this itself is going to be through 8,000 damage. So we do see Brandon up taking a 2-0 there. Obviously a little bit misplays. You know, we did see the double copy. I'm just throwing the cards in the graveyard to activate them in case he has something else, but like we have nothing there. We're going to send the copy of Aluber to the graveyard for opening. Summon out the copy of Aluber, and at this point I'm just like, you know, searching, like revealing what I can do, seeing what I can do before I just go battle phase. But like this is just gonna be able to attack. There's no really point of activating Brand Fusion. You know, we look at the graveyard, making sure there's nothing that we're kind of missing. But like yeah, we just go battle phase, and that's gonna be game. We see Brand up taking a 2-0 here, which is pretty nice. Obviously the Typhon summon was not gonna be successful. We could have like maybe waited, but like the Aluber wouldn't have gotten negated off the Desiree, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Like they would have negated the loss, and we would just want to play with Fusion Deployment, stuff like that. But regardless, hope you're watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I want to show off this Darwin version of the deck, which I really liked. I wanted to be doing a bigger video on it, but unfortunately I could not due to the ban list, which is gonna be fine. We can do that for another person as well, like a different maybe if Brand ends up getting first place, or a deck I love getting first place out of regionals, or YCS, you know, testing their list and seeing what kind of stuff they like compared to what I like with the deck, I thought was very, very nice. Obviously, if you want to see my, like, you know, my personal take on the deck, let me know in the comment section down below. Obviously, I'll do my best to answer all of you guys, which I tend to do anyways. But regardless, hope you're watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and more content like this. Stay safe. Peace.